Now, as we go about our workaday lives, we're probably not hugely aware of our rich architectural heritage, but one man, interestingly, an Englishman who now calls Cork his home, he became so fascinated with one particular aspect of our architectural history that he produced a book about it. And our Kieran McConville went along to find out more.
Most of us see the weekends as an opportunity to potter about in the garden, go for a few beers, hoover the car, watch the soccer, or maybe take the dog for a walk. Well, for the past 2 years, this couple have been doing something really useful, maybe even important, with their time off.
You know, I've been into photography and photographing lost heritage for a long time. Used to go off to Egypt and Mexico and South America and just go and photograph pyramids and temples and this kind of thing and do a bit of research and find out what the story was behind the places. And then it was about 2.5 years ago now, a friend brought me along to a big house ruin, you know? And I just found it almost as interesting as anything else in Egypt, and took some photographs, started doing a bit of research. And I just found this whole kind of area of heritage which just seemed to have been overlooked and it's pretty well undocumented. It's all just lying out there, just falling into ruin. It just felt like it's something that it's a worthy cause. You know, it should be documented. It should be preserved in some kind of, even if it's just a photographic record. I don't expect any of these places to be restored, or maybe the odd one will be, but you know, they're just falling down. There's going to be nothing left of them. So let's get a record of them now while they're still standing.
This is Buttevant Castle in North County Cork. Parts of it date back to the year 1200. Built by the Dunnigan clan and subsequently seized violently by the DeBarrys, it has stood silent witness over 8 centuries to the affairs of man, which, drawn together and reflected through the looking glass of time, form what we like to call history. For over 100 years now, the castle has lain derelict, slowly falling into ruin. And for those who care to look, that process of decay has opened up a window on the past.
It's a medieval window. When the plaster falls off, we lose detail about the room and what was in the room and even where partitions were. But also, when it falls off, you can see behind into the rock. And then you can see what was added and what's earlier and what's later and the sequence of events. For instance, over here we have it looks like a medieval masonry, and that part of the building over there is late medieval, but then potentially this section is medieval as well. But we have these fireplaces added in with modern brick. You can see the brick there as well. Every generation adds something. Sometimes it's very hard to figure out who's added what and at what time they've added as well. The Victorians loved adding bits and making fairy tale castles almost. They took elements from the past and put them into their buildings as well. Also, a wall could be medieval, yet the windows are much later, and that's because they enlarged the windows. The medieval windows are very small for protection, but as Ireland became a safer place to live, the windows became larger because they wanted more light in the rooms, and it was a safer place to be. So you have different dates and elements in a single wall.
If it's different architectural elements you're after, look no further than this. It's Dromore Castle, close to the banks of the River Shannon in West Limerick. Built in the late 1860s as a country home for the Earl of Limerick, it was designed by one Edward Godwin.
Not alone was he an architect, he was an archaeologist, an antiquarian. He designed furniture, he designed textiles, he designed sets for the stage. He was interested in Japanese art, so his circle was very wide. The Earl was interested in medieval architecture and interested in Chaucer. So Godwin got this design. He was interested in Gothic architecture. He'd been in Ireland in the 50s with his brother up in the north of Ireland, and he did lots of drawings of Irish medieval buildings. So the castle is influenced very much by two things, a Skeeton Castle, which has a separate Great Hall, as we have here, and then the Rock of Cashel. I think that when you look at Dromore, the Rock of Cashel immediately comes to mind with its silhouette on a hill, a round tower, a square tower, and these various gables.
And yet, for all the design and work that went into creating this fascinating building, it was only lived in for about 50 years.
Because rates were being levied on it, they took the roof off in 1954, I think. I was here when it was being dismantled as a small boy.
The current owners, the Kelly family, were kind enough to let Tarquin visit the ruins to take shots for what was turning into a very big undertaking.
It's just started from very early days, just taking photographs, just going off for the weekend and shooting a few houses. But suddenly it became apparent that the volume of the task in hand was just absolutely huge. There are hundreds of houses out there, maybe even 1,000 ruins, something like that. And I just had to get organised, really. Just a matter of planning, getting some serious planning done, pulling out the maps, making a programme of where I'm going to go, when I'm going to go, and then just started picking them off one by one, just county by county, just going off for the weekend, photographing 10, 20, 30 houses, and then coming back and, in the winter time, researching them and writing them up.
Tarquin Blake's quest to document this fascinating aspect of Irish heritage led to a website, and now this, a beautiful and interesting book aptly entitled Abandoned Mansions of Ireland.
I don't think people have much idea of really what's out there. I guess the areas that I'm concentrating on are 17th, 18th, 19th century structures, which probably they might be overlooked by some of the state bodies. They might not be documented. They might not be well protected. My intention is to complete the documentation of all the big house ruins in Ireland. So I've probably got a couple of years' work left on this project, but I want to see it through to the end, really.
Wonderful images there, but of course a great sadness that so many of these magnificent old houses are falling into ruin. Now, if you are tempted to go along and see some of these, well, first of all, they're on private land, but also there might well be danger, so do check with the owners first. And Tarquin Blake's book, Abandoned Mansions of Ireland, that's in the bookshops right now. But more than that, an exhibition of the photographs will take place and will be open to